Hello and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of Breakfast with Boom. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. So happy to have everybody here today. It's an exciting time. The game shows, or a lot of game shows, are going to be happening next weekend. I will be a part of a couple of them. I will be live streaming from Los Angeles a few times to kind of keep the people up to date with what's going on, especially when it comes to the Xbox Games Showcase. Obviously, Jeff Keighley has his event on Friday. That's going to be a pretty big deal. Kojima is already expected to be on stage, so a big Death Stranding 2 announcement or presentation is going to happen. He has over 60 vendors to be a part of this thing, so there's going to be a lot of big reveals. The running rumor is that there is going to be at least 2 Xbox reveals at this showcase, though there's no specifics on what those reveals could and can be. But we have a big panel, and we have actually 3 monster-sized topics, folks. We're going to get into, of course, the breaking news report from Jez Corden of Windows Central concerning the delay of the Xbox handheld, the one that Microsoft is going to make, that was expected to launch in 2027. That has been, according to Jez's report, sidelined for now. But the full steam ahead for the hardware is in full effect. I know there's some doomers and gloomers out there, as there always is when it comes to Xbox. We're going to get into that. We have a report. Well, it's a tweet, and it's an exciting one from Ubisoft, folks, and we are going to talk about Splinter Cell potentially showing up at one of these video game shows next weekend. I think it's going to be the Xbox showcase, and I think this will be, year 11 that I'm wrong in a row, because it's been 12 years. This August will be 12 years since the last Splinter Cell, which is just ridiculous. And the last half of the show is going to be, I think, one of my favorite things. This is a predictions panel, because next week there will not be a new Breakfast at Boom, obviously, because I am flying to LA Friday morning. So the panel here, a lot of them I don't work with on a regular basis. So we're going to get their hopes and dreams, their top 3 hopes and dreams for the Xbox Games Showcase. But let's welcome in Crispy Bomb. How you feeling, brother? Great to have you here.
Yeah, man, I feel like every time I'm on, some kind of breaking news happens, and it happens to be Splinter Cell. So, just the little tease, and we like teases. I'm
Yes,
not
we
gonna
do.
lie, and hopefully they do something with it. Just saying, but not trying to be doom and gloom, but Ubisoft is a hot mess right now. So, but we're gonna get into it.
Yeah, we absolutely are. So thank you so much for being here. Silent Cypher, welcome back, kind sir. Great to have you here. Obviously, we have a lot to get into. How the heck are you? How have you been?
I'm good. It's been really busy recently, but I'm glad that I was able to meet up with you guys before I disappear for like another month. Always great to hang out with you guys, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. We've got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. Very, very excited to get into all of the excitement, the rumors, the speculations. It's going to be a lot of fun. Korkenstein, what's going on, brother? Welcome back. I know you're half asleep, but we're happy to have you here. Hopefully, you have a coffee in hand. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Yeah, I got my little coffee here. Yeah, man, just excited to be here. I mean, it's almost E3 week again, and that's like my favorite time of the year. Not because like of all the games, it's part of it that get announced, but I get to see all of you guys, so I'm pretty happy about that. I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, next week is going to be a lot of fun, because it's going to be a big community party celebrating gaming, and more specifically celebrating Xbox gaming, because of the community fan fest that is being headlined by a lot of guests. It's been this is all thanks to Hargeet Chani and Ben Kenobi and Ains from Seasoned Gaming. They the 3 of them have really put this on their shoulders, carried it across the finish line, and I think that next Sunday is going to be something really, really special, and it's something I think they're going to want to do every year. I'm glad that Microsoft has, more specifically Xbox, has recognized it, and that they're potentially going to help with it in the future, because obviously we normally all fly out there to have the Xbox event, and that was cut short this year. For what reason, we don't actually know. But again, shout out to Ben Kenobi, Ains, and of course Hargeet for like really, putting all of these dominoes together to make this event actually happen. There's a lot of work that's going on with it behind the scenes, and of course, if you're going to be there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about next Sunday. I cannot wait for everyone to see it. But Fuzzy Belvedere, how you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
I'm feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys. I'm running a little bit haphazard in the background because I got a camping trip later on this afternoon.
Yes, you do. We're happy to have you here. I didn't think you were going to make it.
Well, I couldn't miss out on the prediction stuff for the showcase and stuff, and Splinter Cell making an appearance on social media. Yeah, I'm glad to be here with you guys to talk about this stuff. But yeah, what a show we got have planned here today, and look forward to this conversation.
Well, you know what? Let's jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen, and let's get into the Ubisoft tweet. Now, granted, this is not a posting from any of the big, publications. I'm sure that at some point, VGC, Windows Gaming, Tom Henderson, Tom Warren, they're all going to report on this, because look, the truth of the matter is we've all been waiting for a new Splinter Cell crispy bomb. And what's interesting is, we were talking in the green room, and I just wanted to look, because I've beaten every one of them, and I've loved every single Splinter Cell, from the original on the OG Xbox to, of course, I think it was Blacklist was the last one. Here it says, so August 2013 was the last Splinter Cell game. Folks, that is bonkers. I mean, again, Ubisoft is not a company that hasn't been around. They went on hiatus. They've been doing their thing for years. And this August will make a full 12 years since we got a new Splinter Cell. So the posting is as simplistic as you would imagine. It simply says, "Oh, you know what, Crispy Bomb, take it. I'll be back in a second. I got to take this call."
All right. Well, Splinter Cell.
Hold on, I'm right here.
They're just like he didn't mute. Splinter Cell has been just dormant forever, and the real big question is what are they actually doing? Are they making a new one? Are they remaking something? There's a lot of them that I may not have played, because unfortunately my life at the time was pretty wild. The only one I know for a fact that I played completely and destroyed it was Conviction. And that was because of many things. The Red Ring of Death was one of them, because then after sending it back twice, I got the Splinter Cell Conviction Xbox 360, the Elite, with the pack in game, and that was the only game I could afford. Like I got the check. I'm sure people know what I'm talking about here. You send it back twice, you get the check, and the check was for $450, what I paid back then, and it was years later. And then you have the Elite out at the same price. I might have paid like $50 more or something with the pack in of Splinter Cell Conviction. And that game was, I'm sorry, I know it got some hate, but it was incredible to me. And for them, what are they actually doing? I don't know. I also, Ubisoft is, they'll say something, and then all of a sudden we hear it got canceled or something like that. The only thing I'll say is that, I'm hearing a lot of good things, and I got to get back into the Division 2 with, the new update and the new DLC. So, are they trying to go back to their roots a little bit? Because, trying to change the wheel, sometimes you can't do that. But also, you got IP that you haven't touched in how many years now? I mean, 10 plus years, and this is what we talk about remakes and everything else. Like, okay, like graphical updates, all these things that, you know, really are logical if a game's over 10 years old. You know, is that, you know, something they're doing? Are they going to go back all the way back? Are they going to make just a new one? These are questions that we have now because of that simple post of them just being like, you know, eyes, splinters, hashtag Splinter Cell. That's what they did. You know, I think it's intriguing. You know, could it show up at the Xbox showcase? Could it show up at Jeff Keighley's event? Who knows? Okay. But it seems like at least this tease is kind of strategic right before these showcases happen. And I think it's something that, you know, there hasn't been a lot of games like that recently. Yes, you have Metal Gear out there, but at the same time, those two are not the same in my opinion. I've played both. They're not. And I think that we're at a point where we need another Splinter Cell, whether it be bringing some new players to some of the older games. Whatever they choose, I think is going to be important. And I think it's going to be important for the company themselves because they're not doing that great and they need a win. And hopefully this is a win because we do not want Ubisoft to have any more issues at this point. They don't need any. And I think this could be an important, you know, realization that, hey, we do have stuff that could use a new coat of paint, or maybe they continue the story. It's intriguing, and I'm all here for it. Does anybody else want to interject?
Yeah, for Splinter Cell, I mean, I'm glad that we're seeing something from Ubisoft. They kind of hinted at it, I believe, or there was rumors in the scene last year about this remake coming out, and nothing kind of showed up from it. You know, I think even last year we were all talking about it. You know, I did a whole, you know, I could envision the trailer, and I painted, storyboarded the trailer for them of what I think would be like a totally epic moment, and then yep, nothing came out. But it looks like, I mean, you're looking at a week before Summer Games Fest, a week before Xbox's June, you know, their showcase on June 8th. It's too much of a coincidence that they're not going to show something. It would be very poor form, and I think they would get rightfully just slammed if they didn't post anything with Splinter Cell. It just seems like poor timing maybe on their part if they didn't show anything up. But I'm excited. I know we're getting the remake. A remake's better than a whole new iteration. This could be a little test, you know, a test pilot for them. You know, see how much Splinter Cell has legs. You know, if it can run. If they end up redoing this remaster and it goes crazy on, it sells really well. There's a lot of buy-in, a lot of engagement. They see a good, healthy MAU boost to their Ubisoft Plus platform. They could be like, hey, Splinter Cell's still in. Let's look at a full game if it's not already in development. So, Tim asked, Ubisoft doesn't have a showcase themselves. They haven't announced anything, or at least I haven't seen it. Have you guys seen anything?
No, I have not seen anything. I know that they're going to be there. They didn't specifically have, because normally they have their own event, but I think because of the money troubles they've been having, I don't know if they're actually going to have one, and do they have enough to show? Like, if it's just, let's say for instance, it's just Splinter Cell, that could show up at Keighley's,
Yeah.
which would be a good spot for it. But for me personally, because whenever I think of Splinter Cell, like there are certain games that have a legacy with a specific platform. Like when you think of Final Fantasy, I don't think of Xbox, I think of PlayStation, right? When I think of Splinter Cell, when I think of like Ninja Gaiden, I always immediately equate that with Xbox. So again, laughing, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but I really think that it could show up at the Xbox showcase. Because remember, it is, of course, for first party, but it's also for partners. and Ubisoft is a big partner with Xbox.
Yeah, I could see maybe like a little teaser at the Keeleys or something like that, you know? And then because they've done that before where it's like
Yep.
a little they shown something and then for full gameplay, check out the Xbox showcase or check out the Ubisoft
Yes.
showcase or that kind of thing. So I mean, if Ubisoft was smart, they're gonna put this in the eyes in front of anybody, and whether it's at Keeley's or whether it's at Xbox's, like I said, they're gonna try and get in front as many people as possible. So that, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw it at both.
Good point. Silent Cypher, let's bring you in. And first of all, shout out to Crispy Bomb for handling the hosting dues. I could not miss that call. I was hoping that call would have come in before the show started, but Murphy's Law is what it is. You know what? Corkenstein made a really interesting reference by using the terminology remaster, right? And if there's anything about 2025 that really does kind of solidify the year that we're having is remasters. And I'm not talking about the Sony ones. I'm talking about games that were from 10, 15, 20 years ago, right? Are coming back in a big way, and they're selling by the boatloads, and they're being sold for we call a not a premium price at $70, a very economical, focused way of doing business at $50. And I think that if Splinter Cell, and again, folks, they've been working on supposedly a remake or reboot or remaster for a while. It's Ubisoft, so I can't really put my thumb on it whether or not this is going to be from the ground up remake, because it's been in development for a very long time. But if it's just a remaster or a standardized remake, do we get it at a budgeted price? Because I think that if there's anything to be told about remakes that are not 4 years old or 5 years old, like Sony's been doing, but something like Oblivion is a perfect example. It was it's the number 3 selling game of the year. Now, granted, I know we're only into the end of May, but that's still 6 months worth of games sold, and it's a remake, right? So, I mean, who would have thought that it would have been number 3 of the year? No one would have thought that. What are your expectations for this? Again, the tweet is subtle. It's simply just 2 eyes and a mouth, and it says hashtag Splinter Cell, and it has a picture of Sam Fisher's square like jaw, right? It's like picture of his face.
I've been a little bit torn on this one. For a long time, I was honestly convinced that the only news we were going to see was that it was being canceled, because that's Ubisoft's trajectory for the last 5-6 years or whatever. At this point, I'm kind of thinking maybe what they'll end up doing is they'll go with a remaster, but redo like the audio, do all that stuff. That kind of talks to the fact that they did have him come in and actually do lines or do something again a few years ago now.
Yes.
So potentially maybe what they're trying to do is they're trying to, do like the remake remaster, right? Where they're going in, they're glossing and glitzing it up really nice, adding a bunch of polish, not modifying the content as much as just bringing it modern, modernizing the audio, the visuals, all that stuff. I could see that happening. And I think that kind of speaks to where they're at this point. We know that Ubisoft hasn't been super keen on spending a bunch of money on games recently. They've canceled more than they've released over the last little bit. And they've had a couple times where even though the Star Wars Outlaw game was good, it didn't do as well as they expected or hoped.
That's because that thing kind of launched broken. That was a mess.
Yes. And that doesn't help them either, right? Like if I can play the version now and it's a good experience, but when it first came out, when you had everyone spending that money, first impressions are everything. And so if you muck that up right off the bat, that's a bad situation for you. They did have a win in Assassin's Creed. The recent one, Shadows, was pretty good from what I played of it. I really enjoyed it. But Ubisoft's kind of had a shaky release window for the last little bit. So I could see them leaning more into a remaster and just adding more to something that's already there. You know, like you've got the bones, you've got the structure of this thing, polish it up, make it something that's good for modern day, release it out. I think that's probably the best bet for them, and it's probably the most realistic thing. As far as their pricing, though, as much as I would love to say that they're going to, the goodness
Those
of their
mofos going to
hearts,
charge $80, aren't they?
yeah, they're not going to give us a $50 title. They're going to charge us 70 or 80 for it. I'm not surprised, honestly. Again, given Ubisoft's track record recently, it wouldn't surprise me. We know they're hurting for money. We know things aren't amazing right now in that business. So I think if they release something like this, which they know, as you said, 12, 13 years, whatever it's been, if you've had that much time by the time this thing comes out, the nostalgia, that itch to jump back into Sam Fisher's boots, it's going to draw traffic. And so they're going to charge as much as they can because they know that they'll make that money.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a good point. So I wanted to bring Fuzzy in on this. Fuzzy, I pulled up when the actual announcement for Splinter Cell was officially done by Ubisoft, and it was December of 2021. And the announcement confirmed that Ubisoft was in fact working on a remake of the 2002 title from Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. So obviously it was officially announced. We know they've been working on it. Now, again, if we're going from December to December, it'll be 4 years, right? We're closing out 2025 in December. It was announced in 2021. It is a remake. It is not reinventing the wheel. It is not trying to create a new narrative or a story. It's literally, I'm not going to say copy and paste because it's not that, but the blueprints are there. They're literally going to be following in what the story's already there. So I don't want to say it's easy, but we've all been waiting for an update and we haven't gotten one. This comes out of nowhere. Obviously, the next big games show is next Friday. That is the Keeleys. And I don't remember who actually said it, but there's something to be said about the fact that they could be ATs at the Keeleys where it's kind of lights off and the three, green, the goggles come on. You hear the iconic noise, and it says "Tune in to the Xbox Showcase on Sunday." So it gets people excited, and of course, they show it at the Xbox Showcase, which they're partnered with them for multiple things. And I think that would be I'm not saying it's going to be in Game Pass, but I'm saying that we know that they do work together. What are your expectations on this posting from Ubisoft? Because I don't know if it's a tease or it's a troll. I'm going to be mad as fuck. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be mad as F, ladies and gentlemen, because you can't play with my emotions and then put it back in the bottle. That's not the way the cat out of the bag works. Let's get your thoughts, man.
I'm hoping it's not a troll as well. Like Ubisoft has been famous for putting Sam Fisher in everything but a Splinter Cell game.
Yeah,
he was in what was it? Wildlands,
yes,
and he was also in a mobile game. They've had his outfit in Division. I mean, they better not be, leaning towards something like having his outfit again in Division for the Brooklyn DLC or something. But honestly, I think the timing, if Phil, which he does sometimes monitor social media, may have taken the suggestion similar to like what he did with Ninja Gaiden and work with Ubisoft, help them along, because it seems like they weren't going to do it on them by themselves. Help them along with getting this remaster across the finish line. And then later on, having a full new story or continuation of the story, at a later date, hopefully within a year or two. And then that way with, maybe some Xbox marketing, it may not come to Game Pass day and date or anything along those lines, but it would be similar to like some of the, highlights that you see for Sega titles that don't come into Game Pass day and date, like Metaphor, like the Unlimited Wealth or something like that. The one, the Like a Dragon titles and
Yes.
stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, they eventually come to Game Pass, but they won't do it at launch. But it will be something marketed at their showcase. So if they pull a Ninja Gaiden with Splinter Cell, I'll be all for it, because at least we know that there is some financial backing, and it's not just Ubisoft kind of like trying to chase a new, golden goose or something along those lines. Like I think the biggest problem has been Yves all along. We all kind of joined with him when Vivendi was trying to take them over, and now it looks like that may have been the best possible thing that could have happened, as far as if Vivendi had taken over. But yeah, I'm hoping we get to see it, whether it's at the Xbox showcase or Summerfest or the new games showcase or the
future
PC
game
one.
showcase. Yep. I don't care where it shows up. Just give it to us. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's about time. Like it's missed a full generation at this point. So why not have it at least on this generation before they either
before the
close
next
up
generation
shop?
starts in 2 years.
Yeah.
Christmas. Yeah.
So fingers crossed we get to see something, next week. But Ubisoft, if they talk about another mobile game, I'll still play
we're gonna have to
Division.
riot at that point. I think we're gonna
Yeah.
have to all fly out to France, and we're gonna have to protest with the torches and the pitchforks in front of their offices until this gets done. I'm sorry, that's it. At
Yeah.
this point, I'm gonna throw Splinter Cell away. Goodbye, garbage.
Yeah. We'll do like a tea party thing. Throw old cases of Splinter Cell in the river or something.
Water. Get out of here! Just dump copies after copies. I hope it's not a troll, because I would be so mad. I mean, again, I'll be mad for as a fan, and the fandom is strong with me with this particular game, because the world doesn't have enough sneaking and spying type of games. We know that they not only do a great single player, as they've done with Splinter Cell for years, but they do an amazing multiplayer, especially co-ops. Spies versus Mercs is so underrated that it's crazy how good that actually is. And the fact that we don't have one is bonkers. I don't know. Again, hopefully this is not a troll. But listen, we are trucking along, folks, and we're going to get into the main crux of the conversation. And that comes in an Windows Central exclusive, courtesy of Jez Corden, where the title is Exclusive. Xbox's first-party handheld has been sidelined for now, in parentheses, as Microsoft doubles down on Keenan, which of course is the ROG Ally X Xbox device that should be announced next weekend. At least that's what I hope. And then a release maybe towards the fall. And of course, they're going to continue their work with the Windows 11 PC gaming optimization, so that everything that has a screen looks and runs like an Xbox. I'm not worried about this. I know that there are a lot of doom and gloomers, but listen, before we bring Crispy Bomb into the conversation, I got to thank a couple of people. We have Lad in the chat, who's been a channel member for nearly 2 years. Brother, that is very generous of you. He says, massive congrats on 16K. Salute to you, kind sir. Thank you for the congratulations. I have an amazing experience in LA for the showcase. As always, awesome panel and podcast community. Brother, that's very kind of you to say. And yeah, you know what? I mean, again, it's a fun trip, but it's a work trip. I do have a few things that I'm doing that I can't talk about right now. I also have at least 2 live streams. One is probably going to be late Friday, because I'm going to cover what happened at Jeff's show. I'll be doing that from the hotel room. And of course, Sunday, I will be at the event. I will be recording at the event. And then, of course, those will come up as, shorts or little videos. But I am going to be doing a post-show, podcast. I don't even have a panel for that yet. I'll work with a couple of the guys here, and we'll see if we can get a couple more people to pop in. That will be Sunday, Sunday afternoon, because I'm flying out on the red eye Sunday night to come back to New York. Yeah, brother, thank you so much for the kind words. Super appreciate it. We have Gaming Treble in the chat. So it drops an outstanding $10 super chat. He says, Ubisoft better wake up. We are all waiting on Beyond Good and Evil 2. Wow, I forgot that was even in existence. Was announced so long ago. He says, and Assassin's Creed, is losing luster every iteration. Old IPs are making a comeback and they sell. You have the IPs, use them, turn up the treble. Indeed, brother. And I mean, look, some of the remakes that have come out this year are the talk of the town. They just are. And obviously, you have Oblivion that's selling really well. You have the announced Gears of War Reloaded, which is going to be first time on PlayStation. That's probably going to sell like crazy. Like, I really think that is going to sell. And what's bananas and really doesn't get the shine is that if you own the digital copy of the game for the Gears of War, the remake of the original
Ultimate Edition, yeah.
free. Yeah, you get it for free. Like, nobody ever talks about that. So it's very exciting times. And like I said, yeah, I think nostalgia sells, folks. It really does. At least it sells with me. Brett Bingham in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "Guess what happened to Vivendi? They were bought by ABK and dissolved. Xbox could have had Ubisoft and ABK IP in an alternative reality." Yeah, that's crazy, right? Like, who would have thought that would ever happen? I remember they tried the hostile takeover, and it was a big hubbub. But you know what? Remember, a couple weeks ago there was a report that Splinter Cell was selling off some of their IPs. Maybe Splinter Cell is Xbox first party and will drop in Game Pass day and date. Who the H knows? That would be bonkers. But gentlemen, Crispy Bomb, let's get into this report. I want to read verbatim from this news article from Jez Corden of Windows Central. Now, if you want to read the entire article, which I suggest that you do, it is in the show notes. Simply just click and read on. It's already been added, so you can do that once this show is done and goes up on video on demand. And the article starts out with Xbox's handheld ambitions continue unabated, but the focus is shifting towards improving Windows 11 for third-party handhelds. And for now, obviously the Xbox version is going to be put on hiatus. The Xbox Series X successor is totally safe, with development continuing at full pace. So again, folks, before you fall for the banana in the tailpipe with these doom and gloomers, they're still making the next-gen console that is going to be open-sourced. And if that pisses you off, I don't know what to tell you, but that is the reality. That is still happening. Let me continue. Jez goes on to say this: I come to you today with some fresh news about Xbox's handheld plans. Previously, I reported that Microsoft was working on a native Xbox handheld alongside the Xbox Series X successor, planned to launch around 2027. It now seems that Microsoft's priorities have shifted somewhat. Just to emphasize here, it is not the Xbox Asus device Keenan that is being pushed back. It's Microsoft's own eternal Xbox handheld that has been shelved, in parentheses, for now. I have a variety of code names for this unseen device, but it is unclear as of this writing which exactly are the correct ones. At the moment, it seems that there are 3 prototype devices in development for Microsoft's Gen 10 effort, with the handheld being parked for now. Crispy, look, I again, this was announced yesterday. This was a bit of a shock. Am I disappointed? I guess a little bit, but it's also a console that is not supposed to release for another 2+ years. So when they say delay, it is delay for what? Like, the game, it's not coming out anytime soon. Obviously, they want to have their own device. And again, the minute this story dropped, the doomers and gloomers came out and said, you see, just like they said it was only going to be 4 games. They went multi-plat. It's going to be no consoles. Folks, look, my opinion on this is as simplistic as can be, because it means we're talking money. And I want this to be completely clear. If you believe that there's not going to be Xbox hardware, I don't know what to tell you. right? I'm not going to argue with you. Believe all you want. But here is where that gets curb stomped. Xbox Game Pass currently has, we all believe, to be at least 40 million subscribers. That is across PC, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One X and S, right? 40 million humans subscribe to Game Pass because it's the best service in gaming. Let's just say, for some shits and giggles here, that 1/4, meaning 10 million of those subscribers are on PC, which we know PC is gaining ground every quarter because they just reported a 45% year-over-year gain for Xbox Game Pass for PC. So let's just say, again, for shits and giggles, that it's 10 million. That still leaves 30 million console paying players. You think Xbox is just going to be like, you know what? We don't really need them. PC's enough. So we're not going to do consoles anymore. That's ridiculous. And you sound like a knucklehead if that's the narrative you're running with. So again, this is a pause on the development of the handheld to get Windows 11 for their current partnered devices right. Doesn't mean that the handheld isn't coming out. It will come out at some point because Jez Corden literally said it. And when he gets these exclusives, folks, he's talking to the man himself. We know this to be a fact. He is literally talking and probably got this information from Phil Spencer. Now, I don't have that confirmed, but we do know Jez is super close to this stuff. And if there's anyone that you can trust, I think it's Jez Corden. Let's get your thoughts on the potential sidelining Crispy Bomb.
Why would you tread over your partners? I think that's the first question you need to ask. You hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, think about it. It's one of those things that you look at the landscape and what Xbox is doing. And the one problem that me and Boom have called out many times is that you support these other companies, but you don't give us the experience we want. It's not everyone's need for an experience, but there's a certain subset that says, we want the console experience on this said handheld. And how many times you told me I bought this, little do they know, but it's long enough. You sold me the Steam Deck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things, like, I agree. Wasn't for me. It was for the kid that's gonna, do all the PC BS. Okay, I don't want that. I don't. And there's a lot of people that don't want that. They just want to boot it up and play Game Pass. And the one thing they've proven is that you could do that on a freaking TV. Okay? Like, yeah, it doesn't work exactly like the console would do, but it's not bad. I mean, I have a TV for it. It's constantly popping up all kinds of new games that are coming to Game Pass, and it wants me to just use the TV rather than the console itself. But we've always given them crap about not being able to do this in certain areas, and this is one of them. They did not do this correctly. And why not take a step back, say, we need to make, you want to call it an app, you want to call it the source of what you want to play and how it changes and what you see and how you boot it up. Like, these are things that they need to think about. And we've talked about this months ago. This is the problem that they have, because they're not in the mobile space technically. You know what I'm saying? They release games that are on mobile, and yeah, I'm sure there's handhelds that obviously play Windows, but at the same time, it's so all over the place. If you're gonna bring to fruition this greatness that is Game Pass, and trust me, if you are a Game Pass sub, you are eating good. But at the same time, to buy a handheld right now, and I am sure like people think differently, but even the new series of consoles under your TV themselves are going to have PC capability. I am sorry. This is where they're at. And they will take a hit on that. I think they're trying to gain money right now by raising the price because they are willing to take the hit of what they're about to come out with. But at the same time, there's a lot of people like myself that would just like to be able to play Xbox on a handheld, a decent handheld that has a decent amount of power. Probably and more than likely they're looking at the Switch 2 and be like, okay, we got to upgrade that like tenfold. Think about it. Okay, how are you going to sell people to buy a handheld, like an actual Xbox branded handheld, and beat out the Switch 2? That's probably what they're looking at. And people could say PlayStation all day. You ain't got nothing right now. Y'all can't even, you're fumbling over your own head right now. Okay. I ain't talking about you. You're looking at handhelds, and more than likely people are going to either buy a PC type handheld or they're going to buy a Nintendo Switch. Other than that, what else you got? Okay. So imagine them allowing and helping ROG to also help themselves and change their app and how it works. Does it boot up like an Xbox? Why not allow your partner to kind of take the hit, but also help them develop it? And I think it comes from a lot of us that said, hey, I just want to boot up and play Xbox. Game Pass? Yes. If I have, and you keep seeing it, they keep adding more and more games that you've purchased to the cloud. Okay? Like, you got to realize that they haven't developed for this type of thing for a long time, since like the Windows Phone and stuff like that. But then the people that hate Xbox will be like, well, this means that they're going to die. No, people, they still have a Surface, okay? You could still buy a brand new Surface. There's certain platforms that they care about, and this is one of them. And they will make crazy stuff like AI and all this other stuff to try to push their entire narrative, because they really want to sell you Windows, but they really want to sell you Xbox as well for the gaming aspect. And I think they're trying to figure that out. It's going to take some time. And I think the shelving is not a bad thing, because if you buy the new ROG, you're going to be like, man, this is not great at first, or it's great, or it's going to become great because they keep supporting it, because it's their partner. We've seen this time and time again. If they go for something, they go for it. But it's also developing in-house what they actually need to do with their actual handheld themselves. And I think it's a smart play. I also think that they don't want to take away from what they're about to do in the actual under the TV console space. And I think we're going to see it by next year.
I think you're onto something. I mean, again, folks, you got to remember, I know somebody in the chat just said that they want something that's dockable to their TV. Well, you can do that with any of the ROGs. You can do that with any of the Steam Decks. So when this ROG Ally, the Asus ROG Ally comes out, that, the Xbox version or partnered version of it releases, you'll be able to dock that to your TV and it'll run the way it's supposed to run. So that's not gonna hinder anything. Silent Cypher, I want to bring you in, and let's get because I saw somebody just post that how could this be a delay if it was never officially announced? Well, it's not really. We here did not announce it as a delay for the podcast. We talked about literally using Jez Corden's word from the article, where it's just been sidelined. Simply, they're going to pause development on it, and they're going to work with getting the Windows 11 integration on their partnered PC handhelds correct first, where everything is seemingly works as just an Xbox, meaning that if you have or already own a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally, when this this version comes out, this streamlined version, it's going to just simply be an app download. I want to get your thoughts on that.
So yeah, I think I'm probably in a different mindset than some of you guys are with the phrasing on this. That's nice that they're sidelining it. That to me reads off as PR speak for, yeah, we're quietly canning this thing because there's other.
I mean, I thought that as well. That's a great point, dude.
Well, the thing is like, sure, Jez has a great record. That's great. And at the time, him getting this information, being told that it's being sidelined for now, like, sure, that might be the case for now. But it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft did decide to sideline this and can it altogether, because there's a lot of stuff at play across the globe at this point in time. You know, we talk about it previously, and given the climate of tech pricing right now, and potentially with what's coming down the pike, why wouldn't you want to just say, hey, my third party collaboration over here with ROG, why don't I just let you deal with the hardware, and I don't have to worry about eating the cost on that sucker? Because let's face it, even with the consoles, they're not making money. There's a reason why we're not paying $300 for a Series X at this point in time. It's because tech prices are too high.
Yep.
And we're not going to see that benefit. They're not going to eat the cost for us to get a cheaper system. We've already seen this. So it wouldn't surprise me, you know, if they just said, hey, we're collaborating already. Let's let you take the hardware burden and we'll just keep doing our thing. They're successful in Game Pass at this point in time. They're doing a lot of stuff with the mobile function. So it's like, if they decide to can it, it wouldn't surprise me, because it's like, this right here, this is an Xbox. Like,
yeah.
it's what their marketing and advertising says. This is an Xbox. My TV upstairs that has internet connection is an Xbox. So if they're having hardware issues already, or if they're having things where it's not working just the way that they want it, then why are they going to take the hit on that R&D if they know that they're going to get diminishing returns? So that's kind of where I stand from it. In regards to, in regards to this idea of it being sidelined, I think the thing that bums me out is that with a actual dedicated Microsoft handheld, we would be getting that specific UI and it would be baked in. I don't like the idea of another Windows 11 modified version. I already have a ROG Ally. So if you're going to sell me something that's like that, but slightly more tailored, I'm really not interested. You're not going to sell hardware to me that way. So the thing I want to see, though, like you mentioned, is like an app where you're able to go into that thing and function it just like it's an Xbox. You know, you load up the app, it gives you the layout.
It looks like your console, but on a handheld. That is the experience that I want. And that's, I would assume that's what you want as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you give me that, that's what I want. Because realistically, like if I want to play PC, I can play PC. But I like the simplicity, the concise navigation and everything of just an Xbox dashboard. You get to what you want to play, you play the game, you bounce out, bounce in whenever you want to. You don't have to futz around with logging into your stupid Windows profile. You don't have to do all these things. It does it. It puts you in the game. You're good. So if that can still be a thing, you don't have to have hardware for that either. Like I would argue, if you have an app for that, I can play it on my ROG Ally right now. Yeah. Of which, why the hell would I care to buy more hardware? If you're going to bring out something that's just a third party. Like I had interest in the idea of like a first party one because I know it'll be more custom tailored to that experience. And if that's not coming, or if it's being sidelined, it's cool. I'm not going to buy hardware for a while. I really don't give a crap. I'll still play games one way or another.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. Again, I think ultimately anyone that currently has a handheld that is more PC centric understands that it's just the armory crate and you launch it and you go, like on the ROG Ally. And supposedly it's even easier with the Steam Deck, right? Literally pick a game, your library pops up and you go. I think people like myself who want a much more simplistic version, like I want whatever this UI is going to be to look and operate like the Switch. When I go to play Animal Crossing on the go, or I'm playing one of the shooters that I buy, it's simply you press the power button on the squares come up of your games, you press it and you're in. You go. That's it. I think a lot of gamers want that simplicity. And again, it's not technically officially announced, and we know that they were working on it. So I don't really think it's a delay. I think you might be onto something. It could be when you say we're going to pause, or we're going to sideline it, we're going to hold off on doing it until we get this other thing right. That could be because of the market. Like, you got to remember, they were all in on VR until they weren't. And why did they stop doing VR? Well, for one, it wasn't selling, right?
Yep.
And two, it's super expensive to make this thing. So maybe, and again, I'm just spitballing here, Korkenstein, maybe this sideline move has to do with the current market conditions and future and long-term looks down the road. But maybe it's like, well, you know what? We said we were going to partner up with ROG. Maybe they both came to a decision that they would split development costs on this thing, and instead of spending full-on monies from Microsoft, they go halvesies with ROG Ally, which, by the way, is a hardware maker. So they simply invest in the development of this ROG Ally X Xbox console. What are your thoughts on that, Korkenstein?
Yeah, I don't know. This whole leaker culture and insider culture is just toxic. Basically, it's a bunch of people just saying, "Oh, this," it happens every year, and I'm surprised the showcase stuff hasn't happened yet. Oh, this is going to be there at Xbox. I know this for sure. It goes to all the media sites. Oh my God, this game's going to be there. And then when it doesn't show up, Xbox stepping on rakes again. How dare they not show this game at this thing? And Xbox is like,
but we never said that it was going to be.
What did I do? Like, what did I do? Like, what? It happens every year, and this is just another case of that, where something not even really announced. I know Phil has talked about it, where he's like, they're looking into it, but they've never like made a official statement saying, "Hey, we're gonna come out with our own handheld, like here it is," kind of thing. And it just seems to be just a bunch of FUD. Especially now, because now I'm seeing that the narratives are turning to, this is Xbox, this is a wrap. Xbox is giving up on hardware.
Oh yeah.
No, did you not read the second part of Jez's tweet where he's saying that they're literally still working full steam on the next Xbox console?
Right.
It's frustrating because like stuff like this happens all the time, especially right before showcase. They doom and gloom because they already know,
dude. Yes,
Xbox is gonna spit hot fire, and that's just what it is. They're just gonna come in and everybody forgets about all this doom and gloom after the showcase. And I don't know. I'm over that part. I do think if this I'll play along. Let's say this is true. I think it's a great move by Xbox. The handheld market is very heavy right now. You're not going to get somebody to come over and spend, especially with market conditions, like you said. And this is, we got to look with everything going on, with the tariffs. They're on, they're not on, they're on, they're not on. It's going back and forth. Xbox probably has no idea how they're going to price this thing, how they're going to build it. And, right now coming out with a handheld that's going to be $1,000 plus, or potentially $1,000 plus. You're not going to get people coming over from Steam OS. You're not going to get people coming over from the ROG or Lenovo. They already got these you're really going to have to make an awesome machine for people to be like, okay, I'm going to, upgrade, I guess, or switch ecosystems in that sense. And you're not going to get that. You know, especially when something's like 1,000, especially unless you, like I said, unless you have like a major like heavy upgrade machine, which again is probably going to cost $1,000 plus, which people aren't going to spend right now. It's better just to, like I said, have ROG. Just let ROG do their thing, you know, license your stuff, kind of get some things, have them eat a majority of the cost for production. You know, you could probably subsidize and help them with that. But in the most part, ROG's probably going to be eating majority of those costs for development and manufacturing. So let them do that. Work on your infrastructure. It would be a big waste for them to push these to push the handheld out. And the UI sucks. It's not integrated properly. There's no synergy between what they're trying to do, where everything's an Xbox. You know, it would suck if, you know, the Windows OS on it was horrible and didn't integrate well. Well, now this isn't an Xbox because you can't get it to function with Xbox the way you want it to. So, best thing to do, I think they're still going to do it. They're probably just maybe kind of going back to the drawing board a little bit. They're going to take a look and see, hey, let's get our infrastructure down to where everything's, you know, working in harmony. Like I said, I've already said before, the GDK came out with the Series X, and they switched everything over because while you're developing for PC on the GDK, you're also developing for Xbox. That's just what you just have to add in. I think it's like the GDK X. And that will give you the Xbox ecosystem. But you pretty much already have a fully functioning Xbox game developed with the GDK if you're just releasing on PC. So we'll have to see what happens coming up. Like I said, I think right now you know, Jez is, I don't think he meant any ill will by this. It's just people doing what people do, you know, grifters doing what they do best, and that's troll and grift and all that stuff and creating false narratives. Supposedly there's a third SKU that he's talking about as well.
Yes,
I think
there's three things in development for at Xbox. One was the handheld, one was the next console, and what's the other thing? I mean, could that be the
cloud
deck
machine
of cards thing that, you know, goes next to your TV? That's like an Apple TV, but except it's Xbox. I mean, that you know, that was in development. I don't know if that's what it is, but it could be. You know, we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's Pembroke, Cardigan, and Melrose are the three project names. So we'll see. I mean, let's just wait till the showcase. Let's see what happens at the showcase. Let's wait till Xbox gets their chance to actually market and push the stuff they want people to know about first, before we start jumping to conclusions and all of that stuff and creating narratives. Let's give Xbox, they've cooked before. We've let them cook and it's been totally awesome. We've let them release stuff the way they want to release it. And it's been successful. I'm tired of Xbox constantly having to defend creative narratives that they've never created themselves.
You know what? Phenomenal points. I mean, that's worth the golf clap for sure, because that's exactly what's going on. False narratives. First of all, shout out to one of the best in the business, Hazador Gaming. What's going on, brother? He is one of the best on X. I don't know if you're on Blue Sky, because I am, but I'm not. I can only do one social media spot at a time. My brain can't take that much more. It's a lot. So we love to have you here, brother. Great to have you here in the chat. And just just a big thank you to all the work that you do in the community. Folks, if you're not following Hazador Gaming, you're doing it wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. But Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get your hot takes on this, because everyone has knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, as we close in on 800 live viewers on a Friday morning. Of course, that is Twitch, that is X, and of course, YouTube. We appreciate everyone that's checking out the show. But I want to get your thoughts on this, Fuzzy Belvedere, because the one thing that Xbox cannot do, and would be a real hinder to their Xbox Everywhere plans, is to release a UI that's different on every piece of device. Like, you can't have a different UI on the Steam Deck versus the ROG Ally. It's got to be a unison kind of a thing. And I look, I'm going to be honest with you. I agree with the whole, this is not delayed because it was never officially announced. It has been rumored to be in effect. We've heard Phil Spencer himself say that, yes, They want to get into the handheld business. They believe that it's a market. But like the VR situation, things change. And I get very frustrated when people put the flag into the sand and say, well, no, Phil said it, so Phil lied. Right? He said that they were going to work on a handheld. It's called Project whatever. Things change, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not saying that I'm okay with this. I would love an Xbox dedicated device. But if you're going to give me a UI that gives me everything that I get with my console, I honestly don't care who makes it. Whether that be Lenovo, whether that be Alienware, whether that be Dell, or even, of course, ROG. Whoever puts out a console that allows me to play my Xbox games, any of them, and gives me a UI that's similar to what I get on my console, I'm in. Now, am I going to buy every console that comes out? No, I won't need to. I just need one really good one, and hopefully the ROG Ally Xbox One is. Let's get your thoughts on this supposed delay, even though it wasn't announced. But the story from Jez Corden, I think, was very clear. Like literally in the first paragraph, he confirms that hardware, standardized under the TV hardware is full steam ahead. This has just been sidelined. Let's get your thoughts on that, man.
Well, Gabe Newell is probably the straw that's breaking the camel's back on the handheld right now. And I've said this before, like SteamOS, there was rumors, like a year or two, that they were looking at doing the Steam box again. And they're trying to reiterate on the SteamOS, so that way, if you didn't want to install Windows on a PC and you just wanted to make it a gaming rig, you could probably do so. We've had some in the community kind of do that already with their PCs and have it where they can start it up like it's a console by hitting the Xbox button on their controller. So Steam has been hard at work at expanding beyond what they are into right now. Microsoft, on the other hand, thought that they didn't have to worry about stuff like that as much, so they focused on the UI. So I don't think it's a UI thing. The key thing that's causing them to probably put this on pause is to basically move resources from developing that, testing it in the field kind of thing, and reiterating on as far as your library and integration and making sure that the cross save and cross progression stuff is seamless. Now they want to move resources because Windows 11 is getting its teeth kicked in on these handhelds. You could buy the exact same handheld from Legion, and when it runs with Windows 11 with its pre-installed settings, it runs like dog poop in comparison to SteamOS on there. Now, all of that can be remedied by adjusting some of the power optimization on that. There are some other tweaking things that they could do that would actually make it more online with the Steam Deck or the SteamOS on that device. And moving forward, I think that's what they're going to focus on. They kind of ignored that because they figured the more important part was making sure that you could, integrate, or instead of having the side load, you would automatically have a way to reach your Steam library, your Epic library, and all that stuff, which they've already got that kind of down pat. But the power controls and things along those lines, where the battery life preset with the current Windows 11 settings is like 3 hours, but there is ways to get double that amount of time out of it without having to go to an ARM chip. That would be like the Snapdragon chips for some of the laptops would be a much better approach for their device, which I don't know if they're still debating behind the scenes on whether to go ARM or stay with AMD or whatever the case may be. But currently that Windows 11 software, which is the baseline for everything, it's never really been the greatest for being a gaming device. It's been pretty much a jack of all trades, and that's what they got to work on. As far as the handheld, I think it still makes its appearance, whether it's within the same timeline as the under the TV console or shortly thereafter. But I think in the meantime, the ROG Ally Xbox partner device will probably be the thing that will be more of their case study that they can decide on how to move forward or whether to even move forward. And there's that possibility that they could out and out cancel it altogether if that ROG Ally Xbox device seems sufficient enough as far as selling software from their store. Then they probably won't necessarily invest the the hundreds of millions to continue making their own device if that one's already killing it for them in that way, with still being kind of branded loosely as an Xbox device. So there's a lot of other things moving behind the scenes, but I think right now, when SteamOS did its most recent update, that's what they got kind of caught off guard. I don't know why. I think anybody that's been in the handheld space, whether it's with the Steam Deck or ROG Ally or Legion Go or MSI Claw, any of those other devices like the IO Neo devices out there, we've seen that Steam has been working hard with the unstable software, which it's stable. It's just that it's pretty much in beta or alpha form. And now they've gotten a fully functional one that can go on just about any device. So we'll start seeing people that may have bought a ROG Ally, an original one or original ROG Ally X that had Windows 11 on it, and they go and overwrite it with SteamOS. And that would probably be a better situation until Xbox gets that end of the software stuff figured out. But canceled, sideline, we'll see. They're still working hard on getting on these handhelds and having a great console-like experience. Because like right now, a lot of people have to use, I think it's Bazite or I can't remember the exact software, but that seems to be an improvement over what's offered through Windows at this point. So things along those lines, if the end user has to customize their device to make it function as well as, you know, something that comes fresh out of the box from Steam, or with the software that they are going to allow you to install on those existing handheld devices, then Microsoft as a whole or Windows as a whole has a uphill battle that they're going to have to fight. And I think that's what they're putting their focus on, is fighting that battle to make sure that their software, not just the UI, because that's kind of, you know, easy for them for the most part, but the behind the scenes stuff, all the stuff that runs in the background or doesn't necessarily have to run in the background. Some people refer to it as bloat. Some of it is bloat. Some of it is just operational stuff that can be tweaked a little bit better, so you don't use up the battery as much when the game is on its like title menu. You shouldn't be kicking in the fans and using a lot of the power that it uses. So we'll see. I think it's a little early as far as for panic on them getting out of the handheld space and stuff. But I will say, you know, if you've seen the recent comparisons, I forget the guy's name, something 2D, did a thing where he compared the Legion Go S on both Windows as well as Steam. And then other people have done the same and found that if you just adjust the power settings, pretty much you can get equal or better performance out of the Windows 11. It's just that it's not set that way out of the box. And for console guys getting into that space, that's going to be a problem, trying to convince them, oh, go through all these menus and do this, and your device that you just bought will work better than this other device that you could have bought and would work great right out of the box. And that's all.
Yeah, Curry Cosmos in the chat says his name is Dave 2D.
Right. Thanks, Curry.
But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm excited one way or another. I currently have a ROG Ally. I will be buying this Xbox ROG Ally device. And again, the reason why I would be buying it is because it's going to potentially have this new Xbox Anywhere UI that looks and runs like what's on my console. If it does that, and even though it's going to be probably going to be $800, now is that for everybody? No. You know, what I suspect is the day that this console comes out, that app or that UI will be downloadable for anyone that already currently owns a ROG Ally Original or the X or your Lenovo, your Steam Deck. So that's why they're working on it. When do we see this device? It's going to be happening again. This is just my shooting from the hip kind of a thing. I think we're going to see it at next weekend's event. What event? I don't know. Usually the Xbox event is not hardware. It's usually games. So I don't know if it's going to be there. It could show up at Jeff's show. It could show up at the Future Games show as well as the PC Game show. Well, we know where it's not going to show up is at the Nintendo Switch showcase because, well, they're going to be doing their own thing. And I guarantee you, again, this is me just shooting from the hip, that they're going to show that 3D Mario and get everyone into a tizzy. I will not, unfortunately, have my Switch 2 for my my trip, which is fine because I have a bunch of shmups that I just bought. I think I bought like 11 in the last couple of weeks. I love shoot 'em ups, and the best place to play those, at least for me, I know that they're on PS4, but I get them for Switch, and that's what I'll bring with me. I'll have the Switch too when I get back, unfortunately. But gentlemen, let me catch up on super chats, and we will get to the last one. And this is the fun topic of the show, folks. This is going to be an open-ended conversation with the chat, with the panel. The panel is going to pick their 3 hopes, wants, and dreams for the Xbox showcase. And of course, chat, I want you heavily involved. I want to know what you hope is going to be there, what you want to be there, and what is the dream game that you are hoping that is going to be there. It's going to be a fun conversation. Shout out to Sin. He says, howdy, folks, and fellow graybeards. What's up, brother? Thanks so much for being here, as always. Let's get to those super chats. So we have Brett Bingham drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. Brett goes on to say, Ubisoft should sell Blazing Angels to Xbox and then give it to Asobo or Playground Games to make a new one in the Microsoft Flight Sim or Forza Tech engine. Bro, that would be insane. So I'd give it to Asobo. Personally, I know that Playground Games, they're awesome, but Asobo, they might be that might be the developer, dude. Lord Roughness drops not 1 but 2 £5 super chats, and he goes on to say, glad I didn't wait for the handheld due in 2027. I'm here patting my own back for trading in my 64 gigabyte Steam Deck of 2.5 years for a brilliant ROG Ally X. Yeah, I heard the X is much better in battery, and the ROG Ally 2, which is also in development along with this Xbox One, is gonna be much more powerful and have supposedly, again, it's just the rumors, folks, a much better battery life. Thank you so much for the generosity, and thank you again for the additional £5 super chat, where he goes on to say, yet another example of Microsoft being smart with money. Right now, Windows 11 and the Armory Crate is so close and plays more games than the Steam Deck. I mean, the Armory Crate is fine. I'm just hoping for a console experience on my handheld. That's all I want, and I think they're close. We will see that, I would imagine, with this ROG Ally device that should be shown next weekend. And again, if it's shown next weekend, I would imagine that for the holiday, for the fall, it'll be available to purchase. We also have Be Nice. Be Nice, great to see you here, brother. Thank you so much for the very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, feel handheld is in the works. I think Xbox is just supporting their partners and will refine their systems, give breathing room for their partners' growth with the system. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? Like they have to get this UI to rule them all correct, right? That needs to run in unison on any device that is, again, lines up with the Xbox Anywhere. Anywhere that you have a screen needs to look and run the same. It cannot run different on one or the other. Otherwise, you have problems. This is why I'm glad they took a pause to it, and it's fine. Now, again, is it sidelined? Is it delayed? Is it canceled? Well, right now, it's being worded as being sidelined as they refine the Windows 11. And I would imagine Windows 12 is going to basically be an Xbox, is what it's going to be. They're working on that right now as we speak. We'll certainly see. Be Nice, thank you for the generosity, brother. We have BT Maverick 707 in the chat. He drops, ladies and gentlemen, a very generous $10 super chat. He goes on to say this. One thing Microsoft is seeing is that the Steam OS is taking their lunch right now. Indeed it is, which is showing to be more performant than the Windows handhelds, which is available for every Windows handheld now. I mean, Steam is doing it right. Steam is their partner. They are working together. I don't know if there's going to be a Steam Xbox-like device. I think they've already done that with ROG. But again, if Microsoft wants, they just need to give the player, whoever that player may be, whatever platform is their favorite, doesn't matter. If they want to play Xbox games on their current handheld, it just needs to work. And again, if they're pausing it, it's because it's probably not where they need it or want it to be, and that's fine. Let's see what happens. Again, the ROG Ally device is going to be announced soon. Supposedly it's releasing this year. There has been no talk of that being delayed, but we will certainly see. Chris in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. Chris goes on to say, it's good that they are recognizing software limits ahead of time for once. People have been begging them to improve Windows gaming for years. Yeah, I think that they understand that, you know, their whole mindset used to be, you know, Windows was Windows, Xbox was Xbox. That was a little brother that no one, sit on the side table. Xbox is making a lot of money for them, and they do want Xbox everywhere, and they do want you to be able to buy an Xbox, even if you're not a console-owning Xbox player. If you own a PC, you own a PC handheld, and you want to buy an Xbox game, yeah, sure, you can get it from Steam. But they want to give you that console-like, device. I'm hoping that's actually what they're doing. We also have here our generous friend all the way from the beautiful Hawaii. Hopefully the waters are blue. Hopefully the sun is shining. Nino Vestic, and aloha to you and the family. As always, thank you so much. He has gifted one Double Barrel Gaming membership, as he's done so many times before. Salute to you and the family, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Gentlemen, Crispy Bomb, this is what we've all been waiting for. This is the fun part of the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into our predictions. Now, I'm going to kind of hold mine because next week is going to be shows Monday through Friday where we're going to dedicate at least one of the topics to our predictions, and I'll probably do mine on either Wednesday's Primetime Gaming or Thursday's X Vlog Live, which I'm going to be looking for a co-host because C-Money will be flying out to LA with the family on Thursday for the Friday Jeff Keighley event and all of the other shenanigans that will be going on in LA. So I get to hang out with C-Money and his family again, which is going to be awesome. But Crispy Bomb, let's talk about it, brother. Your 3 hopes, wants, and dreams. Go.
All right. Well, I think we all know number 1, Gears of War E-Day gameplay.
Yes.
And I would like them to start with it. You know,
yes.
You get the flash screen, OG real quick, then go to E-Day, and then all of a sudden just, blow it out the water. I mean, come on. Coalition, you've been cooking a long time. It's time for some serious gameplay. And I almost feel like Ed and them are like talking because I feel like there's going to be some executions, which is a Gears OG thing, by the way, people. The curb stomp, all that stuff. Maybe put out some interesting concepts there, and then end it with a beta. And I hope for a release date or time.
Well, the beta's out of the bag, right? Because didn't it leak on? Well, not so much for E-Day, it kind of leaked for the other.
Everybody wants confirmation. Like,
yes.
Look, there's a shadow drop. Gears of War Reloaded beta.
Yeah.
But on top of that, have an E-Day, have a release date for next year. Because I'm sorry, I understand what people are saying, but realistically, if you're going to go to the start of the fight, you're going to Emergence Day, people. And if you're going to go Emergence Day, you got to do it at the 20-year anniversary, right? I mean, I'm just saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's too, like, you show amazing gameplay. You give a little flash of reload. I mean, at least Xbox gamers, we played Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Okay, we played it probably 100 times. Who knows? Between actual Gears of War itself and then the Ultimate Edition coming out. Who knows how many times we played it between multiplayer and single player. We love it. Okay, I'm down for it, but I do want to see what they're capable of in this time. And I think E-Day is the absolute pinnacle. Then I want to go and say, we haven't heard nothing from Blade.
Oh, dude, that's a phenomenal pick. Hell yeah, dude.
And I want to be honest with you, that trailer may not a hit for some people, but for me, it hit. It hit good. And I'm going to say this. If I'm cutting off vampires' freaking heads, I'm going to love it. I'm sorry. That's the way I roll, man. I like visceral feelings when I play a video game. And that's, like everybody's giving Doom the Dark Ages hate. I love it. I love what I'm playing right now. All I could say is that, that's a game that I think has like superb potential, like to be something special, as long as they don't, get too PG with it. Because at the end of the day, you watch the original Blade movies. That's what I want. I'm sorry. Like it was gruesome. It was incredible. Especially the first one was just crazy in the beginning of that movie. So, if you're going to do it right. And that's my suggestion to them. And then my third one is kind of weird. And I would almost say they would end with it before Outer Worlds 2. And I would say Clockwork Revolution. Because it has something that a lot of people can't pinpoint, but they also say it gives me BioShock vibes, which I've never played BioShock. It actually gives me some movie vibes, like some retro vibes that aren't quite what Outer Worlds is doing. Like if they can distinct themselves, because clearly they're both making RPGs, but distinguish between the two at the end, right before Outer Worlds 2, because it's not the first iteration, it's Outer Worlds 2, so they're doing something different. And I think Clockwork has the potential to be like a huge game. Like everybody says, like Xbox didn't do that great. Avowed, I mean, I'm sorry, like I don't see anybody giving any hate to Avowed. And it's like
That was
Obsidian
phenomenal.
has been just on a tear. But why not? Because I think I could speak for you, Boom. We love In Exile and their weirdness. And they're so freaking weird. And like some of their posts on Twitter, I'm just like, or X, whatever you want to call it.
They are the best at, I mean, they are like a train wreck you cannot turn away from. Like they do it so well that you just have to, again, I have to say, I don't like the curse, but remember when they did the wizard shit one? Like, holy freaking cow. They did the Taco Tuesday one. They are so good. They are, in my opinion, goated when it comes to
it's like driving by
Sorry.
and then being a rubbernecker. I'm sorry, like that's one of those things. Like I'm like, dude, what are you even doing right now? This is incredible because y'all are crazy and I love it. I love a little crazy in a video game. So that's the one that I'm really intrigued, and I think that's going to be a big one. And just as a fourth, it would be nice to see in the middle a little something from Splinter Cell. I'm just saying, after what they said, that would be really cool. It doesn't have to be a lot, but at the end of the day, they have been doing this for 4 years.
Bring Sam Fisher home.
I think they could do something really good with that, but at the same time, we don't know if it's going to Jeff's show. But those are my three. You know what I mean? Like Gears, of course, and then you got Blade, and then you got Clockwork Revolution. I think those three are just, they're different genres, different games, but at the same time, I'm all about gameplay, and I can see it from all three.
Dude, I love it. And of course, for Clockwork Revolution, a release date this year, coming October, whatever. That would be dope. Because I think that game is launching. Crazy. I think that's one of the games. And again, there's a rumor, folks, before we bring in Silent Cypher, that there is a game that has not been announced that will be releasing this year. Some people seem to think it is the Fallout 3 remake. I don't think it's that. Some people are suggesting that it could be Forza Horizon 6, which would be bonkers. That would bring down the house. But what else could it be? I don't know. Silent Cypher. Again, we got to get into the fun part of the show. What are your hopes, dreams, and something special that you want at the showcase?
Well, you know what, Boom? You kind of took away some of the sizzle from one of mine.
Oh no!
Forza Horizon 6.
Like Will Broke Boy Lewis right now.
Yep. You stole my. Yep. I see how it is. No. Forza Horizon 6 is something I've been wanting for a long time now.
Now, is there a specific location? Are you like
Yes,
me? You want Japan?
Yes, all day.
Okay.
Give me Japan. It's just like the Assassin's Creed games. We were always like, you know what would make this better is if you had this in Japan. Perfect environment for it. And Forza Horizon 6 would be perfect with that. Like I get Tokyo Drift vibes, like the mountain scenes in that movie.
Oh
seeing
man,
them
dude.
do their drift race. I see stuff like that, and I want to let loose on those mountains and just cruise around everywhere. Like I think that would be a lot of fun. But since you did announce that one, I'm going to throw something else in there.
Love it.
So State of Decay hasn't shown up for a while. I think right about now would be the time for it. We saw some of that mixed cinematic and gameplay footage a couple years ago now.
Last year, I think we actually saw that, where
year?
we actually saw like what it did look like gameplay, but it was very hard to tell, especially when she was when she was shooting on top of the car. It looked like it was gameplay. It really did.
So with us seeing that, I figured we'd probably see something a little bit sooner past when that even was revealed. And here we are like a year or whatever later. So that's something that I would really like to see at this point. And I would imagine they're probably going to start narrowing down a window on that one. Like I think they gave us time frame to an extent, but I think we'll maybe see some more details this time. Besides that, another thing that we haven't really seen for a while, Contraband.
Oh man, that's a great one too.
Contraband's time should be coming up here pretty soon, I'd imagine. All we've gotten from that, except for just little bits and pieces here and there, all we've gotten was that original teaser trailer, I believe. So I'd imagine it's got to be time. Like we got to be close, at least. It feels like they've been very quiet on that one, which could either be a great thing or bad. I'm hoping that it's a good thing. But then to wrap it up on mine, the third one, and this one might be a little pie in the sky, and it might be a little bit presumptive, but we haven't seen anything more from 007.
Dude,
And
that's a great pick, bro. I forgot about that.
Given that IO Interactive has been working Project Dragon or whatever else with Microsoft in collaboration, and it seems like they've been pretty buddy-buddy. They had the Hitman series on Game Pass there for a bit, and it did really well. It seemed like their traffic on streams and stuff went through the roof there for a good chunk of time. I could see them maybe getting like an official reveal of the game here at the showcase. And I don't think it would be that unrealistic given their relationship right now. And I would be super excited to see it, especially with the rumors that maybe they're locking in the new 007 for the movies. I think right about now would be a pretty good time to show that thing off.
I agree. Those are all great picks. As a matter of fact, two of them I forgot about. Like Contraband, you always keep it in the back of the mind, but we don't really know what that game is, right? So a big reveal
over there.
Yeah, I mean, and 007, I actually forgot because they're also working on Project Dragon, whatever the H that is. So we don't even know what that is. The 007, I would imagine, is going to be some sort of a first-person shooter, or maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll be something similar in the vein to what they did with the one they did with the spy. Why can't I think of his name? The bald guy, like you, bald.
Hitman.
Hitman, yeah.
Hitman, yes. I hope it's not like a Hitman. I would much rather them give us a, story-driven, single-player, first-person 007 globe-trotting kind of adventure, and then add multiplayer on the back end that brings back what we all loved about the old 007 multiplayer. Oh my God, that would be amazing. If I see Oddjob throwing his hat, I'm in. You just got to add slappers and we're good, right? Like everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you're an OG, you know what slappers I'm talking about.
Give me paintball gun mode.
Yes, that's right. Big head mode. Yes, that would be, dude. Those are great, phenomenal picks. As a matter of fact, I just have to read a quick super chat from Will the Broke Boy Insider. He says, "Sucks when it happens, huh, Silent Cypher?"
You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
He's gonna need some sort of therapy. He's gonna have to sit down on the couch with someone. Hopefully, they don't steal his ideas before he says it. Otherwise, he's gonna go ape shit crazy.
Welcome.
All right, so we'll get to the other super chats momentarily. Korkenstein, let's get into your hopes, dreams, and wants for the Xbox Games Showcase happening next Sunday.
Yeah, I got a few here. So for my hopes, now that they announced it, Splinter Cell. If you're gonna tease, you better, if you're gonna do that, then it's becoming a hope now. The other one would be Beyond Good and Evil 2. I mean, come on, man. This what got announced how many years ago? 5-something years ago, 6-something years ago now. It's time. I really want to see something from them. Especially if they aren't doing their own showcase. The only two that you got is Keeley's and Xbox Showcase. So I really want to get that in. Hopes, which they might save this for the Dev Direct later on in the year. But Fable, I want to see actual, real, like long-term, like long gameplay. Do a deep dive on Fable. Again, they might save that for the Dev Direct next year in June or in January. February-ish kind of area, but I want to see more actual gameplay of like a walkthrough or something like that. So that's a hope. For wants, Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's time. More than likely that now that Nintendo Switch is getting it, more than likely that exclusivity deal is over. So it's time to get it out. It's been rumored for a long time. And like I said, with another platform getting it, it's probably almost all but certain that Xbox will probably end up getting it. I can't see Square Enix, after saying they need to branch out and do more stuff, signing another exclusivity deal. It can release everywhere but Xbox. It would just be stupid. So definitely Final Fantasy. The next one, Resident Evil 9. I definitely want to see that there. I think it's, it's been a while, about 2 years now, since we got a new Resident Evil. So I think it's time at least to see something of what the next iteration is. I loved where they did with the last two. So I'm really, really excited to kind of go from there. And then now for Dreams. Dreams is going to be an interesting one. I want to see
There's no wrong answers here, kind sir.
I want to see a new Max Payne. That's a big dream. A new Max Payne coming out. Like I said, they've been cooking with Alan Wake.
They have the remake, right? Aren't they remaking
the remake?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So there we go. Either a new Max Payne or the remake. That's a dream. I want to see it there. I want to see that happen. And then this is an even crazier one with them getting, with the potential Steam OS integration and, them getting buddy with Steam and all the rumors. Let's get Half-Life 3. How big would that be if that dropped at Xbox Showcase? Again, this is a dream. It's a dream one. So it's not, I'm not saying, I'm expecting it. I just think it would be like insane if they did a Half-Life 3 drop. That would be pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole crowd would just go wild. But yeah, those are my my hopes, my wants, and my dreams.
Phenomenal stuff, dude. Great picks all around. The Half-Life one, like you kind of wonder, like it's safe to say that they know everybody would want that. And I got to be honest with you, if you want a showstopper, like we already know a lot of the games that are going to be there, and I've actually seen people be like, "Yeah, boom, I'm really not excited." Listen, folks, I can't tell you what to get excited about. What I can say is that if all we saw was everything we already know, I'm sure for some that'd be a disappointment, but we got release dates for everything. That would be a freaking amazing, especially if you get gameplay across the board. But there are going to be surprises here. As a matter of fact, again, one of the running rumors that has happened or popped up in the last couple of weeks, Fuzzy Belvedere, is that they literally have so much to show that throughout the weekend on other showcases, there are going to be reveals happening. Like this is the rumor. It's not, take it with a grain of salt, but supposedly, at least from what I heard, there are expected at least 2 big Xbox announcements at the Keeleys. And there usually is, right? Especially when they have stuff to show. Now, I don't know if there's going to be something at the Future Game Show. I don't know if there's going to be something at the PC Game Show. And I certainly don't know if there's going to be something announced at the Switch Direct, because now Switch is coming into the play. Now, it's not a Treehouse event, but it is going to be a Direct. And I would not be surprised if there is something Xbox related that they're putting onto this console. Now, would it be a new game? No, but it's still going to be an announcement nonetheless. Fuzzy, let's get your hopes, dreams, and wants for this showcase happening next Sunday.
Well, some of the ones I was going to mention have already been mentioned, but
stolen once again.
I'll start off with some of those. I do think we get to see Contraband. I think the show may end on Everwild before the Outer Worlds 2 deeper dive and stuff. But I guess Everwild is now in a place where they know what the gameplay loop is going to be like, and it'll be time for them to kind of show people what it's about. I don't know if we get a release date, but I think it is set for early next year. It would be nice to get some more about Joanna Dark with what the heck is it? What's the actual game called? Yeah, Perfect Dark. With Perfect Dark, I think we get to see possibly a release date or an announcement for get more info at the developer direct early in January. But I think it makes an appearance showing some gameplay. Same thing with State of Decay 3. I would love for State of Decay 3 to be there and to get some more highlighted stuff as far as gameplay. And I know we saw what looks to be gameplay in Unreal Engine, but have them call that out so people stop saying, "Oh, that wasn't gameplay, that was CGI and stuff." So hopefully they'll get to show what the game will look like, or show it some more and call it out as actual gameplay as opposed to leaving people guessing. But some weird ones that I think make it at the show: Persona 6. Sega's had a great partnership
down the house. That's another one. Yep.
Sega's had a great partnership with Xbox, so Persona 6, I think, makes an appearance. This next one, I'm not sure if it goes to like the Tokyo Game Show or the Game Awards, but I think OD makes an appearance. It's time to kind of give us a rough ETA. I know Death Stranding 2 comes out this year, but I thought OD was more or deeper in development just because of the whole thing with Stadia, but maybe that gets more of a timeline of when to expect it, like early next year or something to that effect. But as far as going to Dream stuff, yeah, I have to agree with Korkenstein. Go with Splinter Cell. They teased it already. It needs to be there. With Crispy, with Blade making an appearance and actual, full on gameplay, a lot more of the game loop or the map size and things like that. Give us some insight on how that looks. But I don't know. I would love to see Forza Horizon 6, but there's a weird timing thing. Like I would have expected it next year with Fable this year, but with Fable getting pushed, it looks like Playground Games might wind up having 2 releases, or maybe if Horizon 6 is ready, it shows up this year. But another, I guess this would be more so for fan dreams. Elder Scrolls 6. I think it's time that we see some more about it. The engine,
even if it's a CG trailer, bro. Again, look what people went. Remember, was it about 5 or 6 years ago The entire industry of gaming went completely ape shit for a Metroid Prime 4 still screen. I could have did that by using Photoshop, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, the world is over. This is great." And we never got it, and we still don't have a release date, which I think is going to happen at the thing this Sunday for them. But yeah, I don't care if it's a still screen. Just give us the confirmation. We know they're working on it, but I agree with you. I think that'd be great.
And last but not least, something Halo related. I think when they showed that Unreal Engine stuff and showed like what they would expect the map to look like for the flood and stuff along those lines, I think they're closer than what they're leading on to, especially now that they're in an engine that's not as much of a trouble to program for. Optimized, different story, but they got some of the best studios under the Xbox first party studios umbrella to help them with that. But I think we do get to see, much like we did for Infinite when we just saw the wildlife and some of the map stuff. I think we get to see that based in Unreal and maybe even some gameplay stuff. So a tease of Halo to wrap up the show if they don't end it on Everwild. I think that will get the fans really engaged and excited. So that's all I got.
Great picks. I'm reserving my picks because then I don't want to sound redundant, throughout the rest of next week. But Dan the Man Cunningham says Rise 2. Man, that would be awesome. I mean, listen, folks, Rise 1, I don't care what anyone says, was visceral and brutal and so freaking good. Yeah, it had quick time events, sure, but so does a ton of other games.
Tragedy of the Connect. It really was.
Yes. It just, if there's rumors, and there has been rumors for years that they've been working on one that was going to go multi-plat. But again, it's a title that's synonymous with Xbox. That would be amazing to show up. I think there's going to be surprises. Honestly, I hope there are no leaks. I hope that next week comes and goes, that, maybe something, because I know Jez said he's going to do another article on some of his hopes as well. So obviously, if he writes that article and he posts it next week, which I would imagine he will, we'll specifically talk about it, because I like helping Jez, promote his stuff, because he's a really good journalist. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. Let me just catch up on the last couple of super chats. We'll get everyone out of here so you can start your Friday, and I could get to playing some games, because I'm going between season 4 of Call of Duty, which is on your screen, and that Division DLC, Fuzzy Belvedere, is good, man. It is so good to be back in New York, just cutting down the cleaners. And I cannot wait to play more of that. I got to get back to Expedition 33. There's just not enough time in the day. We have here Dan the Man Cunning. No. Hold on. We have Do UK Now, the Broke Boy Insider, drops a very generous $2 super chat, and he says, how about a sub viewer panel next Thursday? Boom. Brother, you're welcome to come on. Yeah, we'll get you back on here, no problem. I will talk to you in the DMs, and we will get you on for Thursday's show. Absolutely, dude. We have Dan the Man Cunningham drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, congrats on hitting the milestone. Thank you, brother. Super appreciate it. Boom. Well deserved and long overdue. No one works harder than you do. If life was fair, you'd be at 50K by now. Brother, that is very kind of you. Look, when I hear stuff like that, it's heartfelt, and it means a lot to us. We work hard, right? We put out 5 shows a week, 20 a month, and usually there's at least 1 or 2 extras per month through breaking news. Listen, I'm super serious about this shit. Like I don't read from the phone. I do show notes. Anyone that works with me knows they get show notes that are sometimes a little bit excessive, but I like being, pointed. I like being ready. I have to have dates right, last names. When I don't know how to pronounce someone's name, I go to Google and I learn how to pronounce it. Like, I take this super serious. And when I get it wrong, you have no idea. It burns me in the worst way, because I take the time to do the show. The sub thing, I mean, is it frustrating when, we've been stuck at under 16K for a while? Sure, I guess a little bit. But the truth of the matter is that we do this for you guys. And at some point, again, there's always that one pinnacle point in a YouTuber's career. You saw that happen with like Randall Thor. You saw it happen with Colt Eastwood. They're well over 100,000 subscribers. That hasn't happened for us yet. And yeah, we'll make 8 years doing this in November, but we do it. We try not to curse. We try to keep it PG-13. Maybe that's a hindering. The fact that we don't do the names thing and throw people on the buses, maybe that's another thing. Maybe we won't get subs because people, like I said, the old saying is if it bleeds, it leads. Right? So if you're an effing asshole, you're gonna get subs. If you hate monger, people love to see other people suffer. That's not my brand. I've said this before, and I really do mean this. I will quit being a YouTuber if I had to convert myself to be a jerk. I'm just not going to do it. So the grassroots way, it's long, it's tedious. You don't get the accolades that you were hoping to get. But then again, we never really put a number on it. We're at 16K. We've already been recognized by Obsidian, by Microsoft, by Bethesda, by Xbox. There are a few other developers, smaller ones, that have recognized the channel as being important to the community. Listen, we're already here. Though, of course, we'd love to be able to say, hey, we got 25,000 subscribers. We have 50. You get 100,000, you get the plaque, you can show it off, and everyone's like, oh, my God, great. Maybe one day. But thank you so much, Dan. Super appreciate the very kind words. Again, do you okay now? The Broke Boy Insider says, sucks when it happens, huh, Silent Cypher? And of course, that was funny. And I think he was pointing to Fuzzy Corkenstein and myself because his ideas always get stolen. Apologies once again, kind sir. Z Black Rider in the chat. Sideline means the hardware, AMD, ARM, NPU, are missing certain milestones. Software will always need work. And of course, that's coming off of a very generous $5 super chat. I mean, listen, they got to get it right. They can't half-bake this. And listen, again, it's not originally, I thought 2026. I honestly believe that. That was the running rumor. It turns out that wasn't true, and now it's 2027, and maybe it's a little bit further than that. But it's still 2 years and half this year away. So is it really delayed? Is it canceled? I guess we'll know, but right now it says sidelined. Do UK now? The Broke Boy Insider drops an additional, very generous $5 super chat. He says, with my main curiosity will be what games will be on the Switch 2. That could also assist with some handheld market as well. Granted, may not be the best visually. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's going to be games there. I don't know. I mean, the Switch 2 is definitely more powerful than the Switch 1. I just don't know how much more powerful and how it's going to translate with, third-party adaptions. We will certainly see. He drops in, let's see, we got Son of Phil drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Xbox fans, please calm down about the Gears Hellblade rumors. Remember that Hi-Fi Rush Switch rumors was false. Phil didn't give away our exclusives. I mean, look, I'm going to say this, Son of Phil. The exclusive thing used to bother me, and a piece of me still feels a bit, I don't get triggered over it. I'm just, like I said, if I was running Xbox, I'd do something different, but I've come to accept it, and I understand that the business has changed. And I think the other players in the industry will get there eventually. Xbox got there first, and they're making a lot of money. Not that it matters to me, because I guess I always say they're not filling my coffers, but I'm still getting Game Pass releases that are so insane that I don't have enough time in the day to actually play with what I downloaded. So it's crazy. We also have, lastly, Will drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat and says, vindication is mine. Everyone gets stolen. Thank you so much, Will. Super appreciate the generosity. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. We had a monster-sized panel. Everyone completely knocked it out of the park. The chat was on fire. A big thank you to all of the super chats, the gifted member chats, as well as the memberships that do help the channel monthly financially. Mrs. Boom and I are incredibly grateful for that assistance. And of course, we got to get to the outros. We'll start first with Crispy Bomb. Crispy, sell the brand, brother. Where could people find you on the social medias, like the kids like to say, and get that crispy truth, get some receipts thrown in their face because you do it really well. And what else you got going on, dude?
At Chris Bomb on X, Chris Bomb 28 Xbox Live. And I want to tell you, we are gamers. We love games. Xbox is giving us games. That's okay. You know, console price doesn't affect me. But guess what? You can join. They're already dropping the prices. So come find us. Come hang out. And be safe, be well, be awesome. Take care.
Thank you, brother. Super appreciate that as well. Let's see. I'm trying to look. I know, Will, you dropped another one in here. So I'm trying to find it. I don't see it for some reason. Let me see if I could find it.
I posted it in the.
Oh, you
the
did?
private-
Okay, awesome.
In the private chat, if you wanted to see.
Okay, so he says, let's see, where is it? Austin Powers game in style of Leisure Suit Larry. That would be actually freaking crazy. Austin Powers. I mean, again, old people like us appreciate Austin Powers. I don't know if there's an audience or even a gaming audience for it, but I would be down with that. Leisure Shoot Larry is a OG classic.
So there was, if you're under 30, you won't know this game, but there was the legendary, absolute classic No One Lives Forever by Monolith Games that came out in 2000. One of my favorite games, first person. It wasn't a leisure. Jesus, that's a tongue twister.
It absolutely is. Yes.
Leisure Suit Larry style, but it was a first person spy game, which was absolutely awesome. So if you're a gray beard, a little bit like me, you know, you might not know this game, but yeah, No One Lives Forever was an absolute classic.
Excellent. Yeah, I you know what? I don't even know if I played that, to be honest with you. I really don't even remember. Silent Cipher. Let's sell the brand of the Xbox International Podcast. And of course, you have become a regular member, or at least channel, not channel member, panel member for the horror podcast, which of course we'll get to Fuzzies on the back end of it. But sell the brand, brother. Where can people find you on both shows? And more importantly, find you on social media?
All right. Well, thanks for having me as always. Great hanging out with you guys this morning. As far as where you're going to find me, you're probably not going to find me around for like a good month ish. You might catch me on social media a little bit, just on probably like Blue Sky or goodness, I forget some of the other ones, but just look for me as Silent Cipher. You'll find me there. Threads, I've been on there a bit too. It's not too bad. I'm enjoying it, but yeah, you'll catch a few things here and there. I'm sure as we go into the showcases, I'll probably have some stuff that I'm throwing on there. You can catch my brothers over there at Xbox International Podcast on Wednesdays, which I have not been on for a good while just because of scheduling. So, you know, stop by, tell them hi, tell them I sent you. Hopefully sometime soon I'll be able to join them again. And of course, as you mentioned, I'll be hanging out with Fuzzy again, hopefully soon on Friday night with Ferocious Fee on Friday evenings at 4 p.m. Mountain, so 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be missing that one for a little bit too, so I apologize, but I'm going to be MIA for a bit. But if you see me around, if you see me on social media or see me on Xbox or anything, say hi. Let's play some games.
Awesome stuff, brother. Again, we miss you on the podcast, but we do appreciate when you're here. There's no doubt about it. Korkenstein, let's sell the brand, brother. Let's talk about your podcast for Xbox. Obviously, I think that's going to be coming back in a big way. You did something last week. I think it was on Sunday. I want people to go check that out because obviously it's always a great time when you get together with the compadres and hang out. Also, let's find out what's going on with Game Pass Gumbo. Any new episodes to be had? And more importantly, where can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, thank you again to everybody, Boom, for always having me on every Friday. Absolutely love being here. Crispy, Silent, Fuzzy, always great talking with you guys. So many great points. Absolutely love you guys. And to your chat, awesome. Thank you guys for being so great. Thank you for letting me steal all your opinions, Will Broke Boy. And yeah, to everybody else, you guys absolutely kill it in the chat. Like I said, you talked about it earlier, Boom, and you do bring one of the most positive, forward kind of channels and content creation that we really need in gaming, and it shows in your community.
Thank you, sir.
And the chat's just awesome. So yeah, for Game Pass Gumbo, I put out a call. We had our second guest ever. First was Jesse Norris from Xbox Era. Second was the absolute legend himself, Web Dave. I will be seeing him actually in LA with you, Boom,
Nice.
this next week. And yeah, he was on, so it was really awesome. Go check out that on Game Pass Gumbo. We're looking at doing some other stuff for that channel. We kind of are doing a content creation kind of rework. We found out that we were just creating content to fit a narrative or a brand, and it wasn't actual stuff we were passionate about. So it made it hard to create content. So we're kind of going back to the drawing board. We'll still do food stuff and everything. It just might not be as prominent. But we're constantly reworking and looking at stuff. So be on the lookout for that. Until then, you could go check out the Web Dave show. And then lastly, Xbox Talks is we're working with somebody for an AMA. I can't really say much yet.
Okay, awesome.
And we might hopefully we might get some stuff on there, maybe some gameplay, maybe some interviews, maybe another podcast, things like that. So yeah, just stay tuned to all of that. You can find me on the Korkenstein at X, on Threads, on Blue Sky, pretty much anywhere. My gamer tag is Korkenstein. Some of you guys, I know Abdel has me on there. Silent does as well. So feel free to add me, guys.
That is awesome. Well, listen, this has been one heck of a show, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is what we do. We come here, we have fun, we have pointed conversations. Everyone completely knocked it out of the park. Once again, shout out to the amazing chat that continues to show up each and every show. And you know what? Yeah, occasionally you get an a-hole. Occasionally you get a troll. But we have Lethal Papa, one of the best mods in the business, that walks silently and carries a very big band stick, and he gets rid of the trolls. And again, folks, we're not here to argue, right? If you have an opinion that's different, it's valid, right? But you don't got to be a jerk about it to try and get your point across. And this chat continues to deliver, not only on being thoughtful and thought-provoking, but welcoming. Like, there's a lot of people that I get messages from that say, "Hey, Boom, your chat, I was first time I found it, they were awesome. They welcomed me in." That's what I love about this. Again, everyone is not going to like the same console or the same platform. I totally get that. You might think PlayStation is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a way to do it. And some people like to try and, berate people, and that's not the kind of business that we run here. And again, this chat is just absolutely amazing. And of course, well, a big thank you to everyone that tuned in today. Obviously, I'm going to be releasing a bunch of videos. This week has just been crazy because I'm getting ready to go travel for next week. So I like getting stuff done early. I'm going to be putting out at least 6 videos in the next couple of days because I have to cut down Prime Time. I got to cut down X-Vlog, and I got to cut down this one because, again, the smaller, more digestible pieces of the podcast seem to be a real hit with the people, especially for working parents that just don't have the time for a 2-hour show. So I appreciate all the very, nice commentary that I've gotten by doing it. And I'll have those videos, if not today, over the weekend for sure. I remember I got to create thumbnails for all of them also. So there's a lot of art assets that I have to find and put together. But again, look for those videos. If you missed it live, you can just check it out. There are timestamps in every show that we do. Most of them are on point. Occasionally, I do get a minute or two wrong. But again, thank you so much for hanging out, having so much fun with us. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day." So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week. Well, actually, we won't see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom, but you will catch some new content coming live from Los Angeles. Gentlemen,